I had a funny thought the other day while I was out in the pasture. What is the difference between a farm and a grind? I've definitely done plenty of both over my time in games like Destiny, and I've used the term interchangeably until just now. Even so, when I say I'm farming this drop, it definitely means something different from I'm grinding this drop, right? I think the basic premise is obvious, that farming an item is enjoyable while grinding out something usually isn't. But how can you put that into a definition that actually has use? Farming being the positive version sounds like something a game designer would want to achieve. Perhaps the difference lies in the time investment, or at least that's a decent starting point. In my mind, a farm is generally characterized by having a target to chase, whether that target is an item or achievement of some kind. If I'm farming, that means I have some realistic expectation of obtaining that target within a reasonable time frame. Tentatively, I would say that like 5 to 10 hours feels like the very upper limit before I feel that that's not a farm, it's a grind. In fact, now that I've said that out loud, I think that a key aspect of a grind would be an unclear end point. I know I've definitely said the phrase target farm in the past, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't say target grind. So I think there's something here. Thinking back to my time in Destiny, I think the time I called what I was doing grinding the absolute most was during the Lightfall year. At launch, you had to use Strand on Neomuna to get Strand meditations, which you traded in by the hundreds to unlock all of the Strand fragments and aspects. That was a hell of a grind because in addition to taking a long time, there wasn't really a way to speed up the unlocks, and you were stuck using a half-finished subclass until you were done. It felt like a grind, not a farm, because you really just needed to spam whatever was active on Neomuna. And not only that, it was difficult to tell just how close to the full unlocks I was, thanks to the fact that there were just so many fragments and aspects, and they were spread out over the different classes. I don't even think I can give you a definitive amount of time for how long it took to finish. I don't know if that's the real problem, though. A long-term unlock isn't necessarily a bad thing. But the real gut punch was that the subclass very much felt mandatory as far as unlocks go, and using it while it was half unlocked felt terrible. So maybe the real secret to the grinding versus farming question is how focused the gameplay is. I would consider multiple runs of a dungeon to be farming rather than grinding, for instance. At the same time, that's a dungeon grind, yeah? For now, my conclusion seems to be farming is the fun version of grinding. Maybe I need a different angle. Going back to the start, the whole point is to determine the difference between a farm and a grind. I think that question has just become, what makes a farm fun? And I think I can definitively answer that one. To me, farming in a loot game is fun when I know an optimal route and that route is involved but not tedious. For instance, I just got Lokar's set back together in Grim Dawn. I reset my save progress for the new DLC. That farm was mostly fun because after you do the hidden quest to unlock the fight, farming Lokar is straightforward, but still involved. He's a tough boss, so I couldn't just shut my brain off, but not so tough that I'm sweating into my mouse. I also knew my exact progress at all times. Lokar always drops one of the 4 pieces every time, and in the end, 7 total runs had me all set for future alts. On the other hand, grinding reputation for Grim Dawn's factions is not fun. It can be optimized, but no matter what you do, it's a tedious endeavor to either farm enemy heroes or bounties. Maybe that's the subjective part of farming. I'm sure there's some optimized route with 1,000,000 guaranteed spawns that I just haven't found yet. Am I the problem? Maybe, but I don't really find the reputation grind to be a deal breaker. And actually, I think the best way to keep players happy is to have a grind or two that is long term to keep them invested, but with a few farms that occupy the mind for the short term. Each run to Lokar had me blasting through 5 or so Chthonic champions for the reputation grind, so the grind was always progressing in the background, but the farm is what I was thinking about. And now that I said that, I think it clicked for me. A farm is the active, engaging part of the grind. Farming for drops is fun because of the specificity, and grinds are unfun because of the passive nature of them. I grind rep, but I'm really farming Lokar. I grind Vanguard materials, but I'm really farming the Luminopotent set. It's only when I've finished the farms that I even notice the grind. And maybe that's the answer. The difference is that, well, farming is fun. And I hope I don't notice the grind. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed my little ramble here. Feel free to call me names in the comments, and I'll see you next week.